Now we're going to talk about performing the property inspection. When we talk about doing a thorough inspection, we have to make sure that we're paying attention to a couple of key things. Number one is the elevation photos. These elevation photos, or pictures of the front, left, right, and rear of the home, are going to tell us a lot about the blueprint of the structure and, the footprint of the structure, and give us a better idea of what the overall architectural elements are on this home. Now, you'll see here we have an example of some elevation photos, and we'll go into these one at a time. I need to make sure that I'm taking a very clear picture of the front of the house, and hopefully the address marker is displayed inside of that picture somewhere. This gives us a better idea of, number one, which customer is ours on a street when all the houses can be the same, or the address might be wrong on a particular piece of paper. But we can go through these as we are helping the project manager and the admin office review each individual project, and we can really tell what is supposed to be visible on the home during the initial inspection, and it should match up with what's on the home after the project is complete. So you'll notice once we get done taking these elevation photos, we're going to get up onto the property and we're going to take some more photos. But as an example, we want to take multiple angled photos of the house moving around the home. Pick a direction. It really doesn't matter that much. You can go clockwise around the house, or you can go counterclockwise. Now, you want to make sure that you're getting photographs of the things that you see on the home, like if there's any damaged windows, if there's any gutters that have dents or damage to them as well, and the fencing, whether or not it has hail impact marks that may be visible from after the storm or not. You want to get a good idea of what's going on there. After you're done taking the photos of the elevations and the sides of the home, when you set up the ladder for the first time ever to get on the roof, the first photo you actually take is before you ever get off the ladder. This is the first official photo of the roof system itself. Now, that photograph is going to give us a lot of information about what happens to be present as far as the layers of the roofing system go. You'll see here what I usually write when I look at my photo is the details. I write down in this picture, it has 2-inch by 2-inch drip edge. It is painted. There's synthetic underlayment on the home, and this is written right here in chalk so I can see it in the photographs. This is the photograph that we should be taking of the underlayment, the shingle layers, and the layer count that are currently on the roof. This is the first photo that we need to see inside of our documentation sets. In this photo, we can see the starter shingle, we can see the drip edge, we can see the waterproofing or the underlayment, and we can also see the decking in that photo as well. And this gives us a clear indication of what the roofing system is constructed of. Once we actually get on the roof, the first photo set we take from on top of the roof is going to be the slope overviews. Now, these are generalized, zoomed out photos of the architectural features on top of the roof. So these are larger area pictures, not close in, and it gives us a more generalized look at what is going on and what things are where. When we stand at the top of the roof, we can simply turn in any direction and continue taking photos of the peak of the roof. Now, this works great on a hip roof that is built in a box shape. It doesn't always work for every roofing system. Some of them make it very difficult for you to stand in one place and photograph everything that happens to be on the roof. So when you are doing your photo sets, pay attention to the architecture and where you're at, and make sure we can see the whole thing, okay? The first indication that we usually get of the presence of hail damage when it's not completely visible on the sides of the home is going to be on the metal accessories that are located on the rooftop itself. Now, usually these metal accessories are very thin metal, and they take very small impact to cause any kind of damage. So when we're looking at the roof, we want to make sure that we go and look at things like the box vents. We want to go thoroughly inspect other metal items on the roof, such as turbines. We want to make sure that we're paying attention to any dents in the top of the turbines or the fins. The HVAC stacks, these things are called caps and collars. Commonly, you'll hear them referred to them as HVAC caps or heating and cooling accessories. There's a lot of different names for this particular diffuser on top of this, but always check these metal accessories to see if there's dents or damage to them. It's really easy to tell during your roof inspection whether or not those are damaged. A lot of times you'll see the turtle vents on the roof or these metal dome accessories. These will have dents in them as well. And again, your chalk is going to be the best tool for you to use when inspecting these metal roof accessories themselves. Now, this dome is a part of the attic ventilation, so there is a giant hole in the roof underneath this. So if it is damaged to the point where there's an actual hole in these attic ventilation accessories, we want to make sure we're covering those up so no damage gets done to the interior of the house. Another great place to look for hail dents is on metal flashings that are around chimneys or roof to wall transitions, things of that nature. Now, when we talk about what hail damage is, it's important for us to understand how it's caused. Number one, when we think about the physical appearance to hail, we need to look at something very specific. And shingle damage is defined by Nationwide here as visual damage to a policyholder's residential property or vehicle. Now the key emphasis here is the visual appearance of the damage on the roof. So when we're looking at a hail impact on a shingle, we need to be sure that it displays the characteristics of what a hail impact typically contains. And for this example, it's going to be a semicircular shaped impression with no clear or definitive edge. Because when the hail is impacting an asphalt shingle, it ejects the granules. And those small asphalt granules on top of the shingle are designed to protect the fiberglass mat that the shingle is made of from impact damage. And then the waterproofing compound inside of the asphalt shingle is a tar-based substance, so it is an oil product. The natural enemy to an oil-made product, whether it's rubber or asphalt, is ultraviolet light, the good old sun. So the longer the sun shines on this bare, granular missing spot, the worse this spot's going to dry out, and then that's when the spot begins to lose its ability to repel water at this location. So we have that granular loss, and you might even be able to feel a slight indentation in the face of the shingle when you push there, and that's referred to as shingle bruising. Hail damage on a metal roofing system will put dents all in the surface of the metal, and especially along the ribs or the seams of the standing seam roofing system. These are very important to look for when you're assessing damage to a metal roof. Now, a lot of customers are going to think that because they have a metal roof that it's not damaged, and while that's only partially correct, they need to understand what their metal roof is actually made of. And so most of the times a customer will associate a hole in their metal roof as it being damaged, but not dents in the actual metal surface itself. While they don't understand is that most of your metal roofing products are now coated with a chemical compound called Kynar 500, and this is what prevents the metal itself from decoloring over time and from corroding with acid rain and chemicals that we have in just the natural rain that falls and helps corrode metal products. So that Kynar coating is what becomes chipped and fractured, and over time, if not dealt with or surfaced, that metal can actually start to corrode or deteriorate and even rust at some of these locations. So it makes it really important for us to educate and empower our customers with the right knowledge regarding metal roofing systems. Now, you can see here an enlarged version of a roof system that we took photos of that was located in Boerne, Texas. This hailstorm produced about 1.5 to 2 inch hail, and it was real dense hail that particular year. When we're assessing the amount of damage that's on a roof, we do it through a standardized method of quantifying physical damage. And what we do is we perform a test square, which is a 10 foot by 10 foot area on a roof slope that we look for a specific quantity of damage inside of that area. And so once we draw a 10-foot by 10-foot area, we can really identify how many hits of hail, how many hail impact marks do we see inside of that test square, and is that relatable to the remainder of the square footage of the roof. If the damage is relatively the same, consider it our method of figuring out whether or not a roof needs to be totaled out or whether or not it can be repaired. Now, once we're done with the roof inspection and we've performed our test squares and we've determined a specific number of wind and hail damaged shingles, we'll write down the number and the quantity and style of roofing accessories in chalk somewhere on the roof surface that we can take a picture of. And from this photograph, we can see that effective notes help keep us organized, and we can also see that our inspection can be completed faster because we're able to get off of the hot roof and get down to filling out our documents and making sure that we have everything included. We can tell the ventilation type, we can tell the type of shingles from inside of the photo. I can see the ridge vent accessory on the roof. I can tell the number of pipe jacks. I can tell the number of bathroom exhaust fans. I can see the additional style of attic ventilation or what's probably a range hood cover. We can tell that from the roof surface. And then we're ready to come down and fill out our inspection report. And the inspection report is going to be the documentation that we provide to each one of our customers detailing exactly what's on their roof. Here is an example of an inspection report, and we want to make sure that we're paying attention to filling out this document in its entirety. So this means not just at the top, but all the way through the document. And this is part of our core values of excellence every step, every time. At the top, we want to make sure that we have the customer's information, their contact information present, and it's legible and clear. If we don't have the email address or the phone number, we want to make sure that we're capturing that data, we're collecting that information so we can get digitized copies of this report over to the customer. The second set of information here on the page is going to be what actually exists on the roof now, making sure that we are taking caution in writing down exactly what's on the roof and what the roof is made of is going to help us in our effort to create estimates later on for the customer. It's also going to help us in our construction practice, and we are going to really know that what we're doing is what needs to be done. That's what exists on the roof, and it gives us a clear indication of how to proceed forward. Now, what you'll see here for the roofing material type, we've selected to write architectural shingles from the example that we had before. We indicate the predominant pitch is an 8 and 12. It's going to ask you for quite a bit more information, such as the architectural type, the air intake type, the pipe jack size, and we even get into whether or not there are gutters, valley material, HVAC stacks. So we want to be sure that we're paying attention to good note taking when we're on the roof, and also making sure that our documents are filled out thoroughly over here in this example. So again, once we have all the existing roofing materials listed, we can proceed on to the last part of our inspection report, which is the roofing system condition. Now in here, we're going to give an overview of what we think is on the roof. In the example that we had prior with the photos that we used in the example, we would say that the roofing system is either defective system or a moderate system. Now we're also going to indicate whether or not there's any wind damage visible to the roofing system, or if there's impact damage specifically from tree branches or other objects to the roofing system, and whether or not we're seeing any material or surface deterioration, which is called granular loss, or blistering as a result of inadequate attic ventilation. Now over here, we'll be sure to indicate any special areas of interest, whether or not we believe hail damage exists to the roof. That's going to be pretty evident based on the elevation photos, the accessory photos, the test square, and the combination of utilizing hail recon to be able to create a hail impact report. And then whether or not there's any active roof system openings. These are actual holes in the roof that are going to cause interior damage if not dealt with immediately. Finally, down at the bottom, be sure to list any special concerns you see as a project manager having inspected this roof thoroughly, and be sure that you provide not just a copy to your customer, but also a thorough explanation of what you saw and what you think is going on with the roofing system. Now, when you do this, don't just read off the document, don't just go down the list of what you saw, but really make sure that you are providing an opportunity for those customers to not only understand what it is that you're trying to communicate to them, but also give them an experience and the opportunity to ask you questions. That way, if there is any objection to the customer moving forward, at this point you can thoroughly educate them and provide them with a great opportunity to have their problems solved.